Oh, good. Oh, I'm glad you managed to get some relaxation in as well, because all work and no play makes Michael a dull boy. So,
It
yeah.
is technically a holiday in the U.S.
Yes, it's also technically a holiday here as well. Yes, we were. My whole family was planning to be away for a camp, but that got cancelled due to a water main bursting, and so actually, anyway, it's all But there's a lot to get done, so good to get it done. Yeah, yeah. It's like, was it Memorial Day or something in the US?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
in
have.
the UK.
It's like the Whitsun bank holiday in the UK.
What
I'm not.
does that actually mean?
I'm not really sure. There's some kind of religious thing. It now I think it seems to be what's the word? Oh God, brain. It's the bank holiday that we have at the end of May. There is some sort of. It's supposed to be like 12 weeks after Easter or something. I don't know. There's some kind of. What does Memorial Day mean in the US?
Uh, Memorializing all the American soldiers that have died in wars.
Oh, okay, right, right. Oh, we have a Remembrance Day I think in October is like that. All right. So here we go. Yeah, I pulled out the code and I ran it locally, and all the tests pass. It's great. Um, yeah, so I guess in order to be testing it, I'm running this. I'm not running the server. I'm running a server. I'm running a server over here. Where am I running the server? I'm running on 3000. So you kind of did some more stuff with Marin. You've introduced a new library or something, and
Uh, well, we did some testing in Jasmine,
yeah, I saw. Cool.
and we introduced the Moment.js library,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
which is exciting.
Yeah. Um, so I guess
Now until they use that.
in order to see the functionality, I need to. So we've got
It's pretty much the same as it was before, but
yeah.
all
I'm just going to remind myself what we're working on. So we've got the ability to create a new event, and yeah. So at the moment, the key thing is when we load the page, we have JavaScript to choose the correct element from the box, which is good.
and it's to adjust the time and date.
Right. So this adjust the time and date to the current time and current date.
Well, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In
So
the local time.
is that new?
No,
Hmm.
it did that before, but we're just
Yeah, I think it was.
now
It was
we're, now
gone.
we're using Moment.js rather than my handwritten
Oh, okay.
code for a lot of it. If you look at the code, it's shrunk.
Right. Cool. And so, I guess the difficulty. Yeah. Well, I mean, I briefly looked through the code. Um, so we've got this one test here to create something in a different time zone. So that hasn't changed,
Uh,
and that's working as it stands. Although I note that for the basic creating of the event, which we assume in this case would select the, I don't know what the box would be selected, but anyway. And then you added something in edit event.
no. So I haven't added any more acceptance tests
No,
because
okay.
I'm not sure. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I asked John
Mm-hmm.
if he knew anything and like about how to stub out the time zone.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he pointed me to some article that was like, "Oh, you have to do it on the command line when you're on Capybara," and then
Mm.
When I talked to, and then he suggested using the time zone offset in the user thing, but that's not always set.
Okay.
The user model, there's a time zone offset, but I looked on production
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend, and a whole boatload of people have nil.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other thing is, potentially now we could, I guess, if we actually ran, because we're relying on that JSTZ library,
Mm-hmm.
and Moment has something similar we could swap out to use. But because we're relying on that library, if we figured out how to stub it in JavaScript,
Right.
like through
Right.
Capybara, tell it to run a script code,
Uh-huh.
we might be able to kind of fake an acceptance test.
Sure. Okay.
The other thing that's pressing though is, as I said in the PR,
Mm-hmm.
there's this bug where if the user tries to create it, so if you try to create one, go get rid of the name, go
Oh, yeah.
back, get rid of name, so it fails
Okay.
validation.
Uh-huh.
Notice that it's 1:21 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to come back
Mm-hmm.
like a different time.
Right.
I think because it's interpreting that time as like, I don't know, CET, or I don't know, I'm not sure.
Mm. Mm.
When you create an event like that,
Mm-hmm. Interesting. But I think that may be an existing, like if I try and create one now on, yeah. So I think
really,
we've got a general issue there with the valid. Like I think there's not only that one. There are some other things that I've noticed and I've filed bug reports for that are not maintained when the validations fail.
right.
Specifically, like the days settings, if you have that set up, and so on. So I'd say that's kind of a separate issue, although and maybe one that we'll ultimately fix by cleaning out the representation of the event form interaction. Okay, but so so here we've got so we've got this is our file we've got with the few we've put a couple of new functions in the namespace which are doing manipulations that we need. We've added a new jQuery function, and then we've got this time zone select, which will
It's mostly for testing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this basically gets called. Right. Okay. So you've pulled that out of there because it's difficult to test inside of here.
Right, because there's
Yeah.
some issue with
With the page loading and the things.
page loading and script
Yeah.
executing first or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So then, we've got our single update here, which is just to put transform params in here. We've got an outstanding issue with this one being too complex. I think there's another minor method extraction that's kind of trivial. I hope. Let's move from there. We've got our new collection element. We've got that thing. I don't know why that's. I guess that's just we haven't updated the main branch. Okay. But so it still seems to me that the biggest thing that prevents us deploying this is what happens if somebody tries to edit their own. Well, if there's any editing going on, then potentially the thing gets blown away, or the time gets changed in a way that we don't particularly want.
What do you mean if there's any editing going on?
Well, what I mean is that, well, no, or maybe it's not the case anymore. But so if let's say that I create, test. Let's call it test for editing, and I say that I want this to start at 1 p.m. London time. So, and I save, and let's put the date as tomorrow, and I save that. So we have that scheduled tomorrow for 1 p.m. this time. So if I now edit that, okay, and that's right. So the code that you've added, because the date coming in from the server would be, because it would have been stored in UTC, right?
Yeah.
So now when this page loads, this time is automatically updated to match the time zone.
Yes.
Excellent. So
I thought we had that on Friday, but
well, maybe we did. I mean, I guess the bit of the
maybe
code
it wasn't working perfectly, and then I fixed it a little bit.
Maybe it was always there, and I was just worrying about how we would have an acceptance test for it.
Like I said, potentially we could kind of fake an acceptance test if we figure out there's like some kind of capybara method called execute script.
Yeah, I know the one.
If we stub out like the JSZT determine method, like if you go into my jQuery test.
Well,
if you go into my jQuery test for a moment.
I was going to say before we do that, I was just going to I just wanted to get my head around how certain of the existing functionality was working, because okay, so it's just I just wanted to see that it's here, right? So this was something like originally this time zone thing. It all it had was the functionality to change the time zone based on the user's browser. But so now it has this additional functionality here, and this is what does the update, right?
Yes.
Changes it to the yeah. Cool. Yeah. So we've got your. Why is that stop working? My magic trackpad being less than magic. This is the test.
Yes.
Yes.
If you look on line 20, for instance.
Yes.
If we do something like that by just like overriding JSZT.determine equals function, that returns that hash in an execute script, we could potentially.
So basically, we would stub out the bit of the.
I think JavaScript lets you just overwrite things if you want.
Yeah. Yes. That makes sense in principle. I thought we also had an existing. We had another step definition that allowed us to update the date times, but maybe we didn't ultimately get that to work. And I guess the bottom line here is this is the edit thing. So this is creating this in one time zone. I mean, will the capybara?
That's in UTC.
Yeah, I mean the capybara browser here will kind of.
I think it'll be in UTC.
It'll be in UTC.
It'll either be that or it'll be whatever your local
system is, and probably UTC because it's running direct. I think that's what we found before. But so there was a thing. Did we end up? So I wanted to end up throwing it because I think that there was a point when we had a step which was sort of trying to change the time zones through one mechanism or another, and it ultimately ended up not working. And what we ended up doing was we ended up testing I think this was for the show page for the event.
I think we did it a different way, but
Yeah.
it wasn't working on CI.
That's right. It wasn't working on CI.
For some reason.
And so we ended up. What's all these events things? Events or a show event? I think we ended up checking for the like underlying. I don't know if this is important, but yeah, we use this. There was this thing. So we had. I think we were. This is what I was looking for. This is the thing I think that we were playing with to see if we could set the browser into one time zone and the other one and the server into another.
Yeah.
And I think, as I say, ultimately we gave up due to like not working or problems with the CI and so on. And then this is the one, and that was Mike's good suggestion, which is, well, actually, let's just check because let's just check that the underlying time thing is set correctly, the local time element, and then that was the test for that. Okay. And so I haven't run the Jasmine tests locally. Right. So in principle, that works. Right, and so if I now change this, I want to change this to 2 p.m. And even I say, I'm going to put that into UTC like so. That puts it back to the same time. And I edit the event details. And see there, now it's come out as 3 p.m. for some reason.
What did you do?
Well, what I did is, I'll put it back to what it was. I had it set so this was, I think I have it set to 1 p.m. Let's see if I can save it back to the original thing. So I had it 1 p.m. I went in like this, and I set it forward to 2 p.m. But I changed my time zone here to say I wanted it in UTC. Like this. So then when I saved it, that's actually, it's going to, okay. No, maybe it has done the right thing then. So 2 p.m. UTC, which is 3 p.m.
3 p.m. British summer.
Yeah. So okay. I think in my mind, what I wanted to do was set that back to 12, like that, and then save it like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that has worked. Yes. Okay. And so I've done Rake Jasmine. Oh, I'll have to do Rake Jasmine to see it. Okay. Yep. Oh, that's good. Cool. Well, great work. Yeah, and is that the first time you've paired with Marianne for a while?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Oh, great to have her back involved. How's she doing?
Pretty good.
Cool. So I think that well, I mean, we could, we could declare it done. There's a matter of a bit slightly more rigorous acceptance test. I'm a little nervous about this creating a new event doesn't check the start time there at all. It feels like that should at least, say something like that. Do you know what I mean? Am I wrong to be nervous about that?
I guess. Do you want to run it and see
I
what?
will. I will. Yeah. I mean, the other thing that I think about, create events 18. The other thing that I think about here is adjusting these tests so that they kind of describe things at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of find myself conflicted between wanting the test to have the actual data that it's using being exposed so that you can see here, right, it's, you know, with the specifics, versus a test that would be, I mean, the kind of the really, really high level version of the test would be, given I create, you know, an event, then kind of when, I don't know, is that even too trivial? We're kind of doing two things in here. Given I create an event, this is like through the event page, then I should be on the event show page, and the event details should be as specified. Yeah, so that's passed there with that in there, so that's reassuring. But do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
at the very highest level, it's kind of, you know, given I create an event, and the things that we're really specifying in this is that, so we've got in little things like that, we've got like little, you know, in terms of, you know, single responsibility, the scenario is sort of checking several different things at a high level, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got the event show page, we've got, and I should not see the end date. I've got something like, you know, and it should be a non-repeating event. It should be a non-repeating event. And if anyone was, and it, I mean, I guess that the fact that an event for a project through the event page specified, and it should be associated with the correct project. Like, you know, in order to turn this into something where the really highest level things are pulled out. But I guess, I mean, this is sort of a background pet project of mine. I guess you're probably not so interested in spending time refactoring the scenarios.
Not really.
No. So I think I might save that for a, you know, my own entertainment separately. You know, and I'm conflicted about, you know, to what extent this helps. I mean, when you look at this test, do you feel like, oh yeah, that's a really nice kind of clean test that other people will be able to come along and maintain subsequently?
Not necessarily.
No. I mean, I think there's probably an intermediate state between those two things. So let's leave that for the moment. And I'll just save that in another file for me to look at separately. So this is episode 1. Perfection. But so this Okay, that's annoying. Just indent it correctly. Okay, so in this one, but so I guess we've got. I mean, the other thing is though, do we, before worrying about doing that like execute script thing, I mean, we could just be doing an edit operation where we select a different time zone, right?
Wait, repeat this?
Sorry. Well, anyway, I assume what you might be interested in is extending the acceptance tests here so that it covers a little bit more ground.
Maybe.
Yeah. And at the moment here, this edit operation doesn't involve changing the whatever time zone is default, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, like effectively all of this is these tests here. It's showing that we can create an event, you know, with whatever the default time zone is, and here we can, you know, create an event, and if we create it with a different time zone by, you know, adjusting the drop down, then that time will be different.
Right.
So that seems reasonable. But so what we would, you know, there's another parallel here, which is, you know, this is edited the event to never end. Is there a simpler scenario here, which is at least, you know, checking that if we edit the event to be in a different time zone, that we get what we expect?
Yeah, we can do that.
And so edit this event to be in a different time zone. So there, so we select from the drop-down menu. So if we just then now the interesting thing there, what this also does is it comes back to the edit page. So if we were coming back to the edit page here, we would expect to see, if we're actually on the edit page, is there a step here that we could want to check that the, how many other selectors have we got? The event is set to end. Have we got something that checks the event start time on the edit page?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not seeing one. So I guess if we look at the here, this box is the start time. So we're expecting the start time value to be something there. And it's just going to be that PM, and it's not going to mention the date time. So, and it's not a selector. Do I have select? So the selectors are that's all of the drop downs, I presume.
Like find or something like that.
Right.
Page.find, you know, quote.
We've got, or it should be like,
See, like line 139.
yeah. So if we've got something like and is start time, and the start time is, so to expect, there we go. That's,
I want space in there.
Is?
in the description between the is and the quote.
Oh yeah, and the start time is start time, and so we're expecting.
You probably, yeah.
So do we have the idea of that is start time?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So and the start time is
Quote.
so then it would be like 09 a.m. like 40 in edit events.
Is that correct for February or?
Yeah, remember Hawaii doesn't have daylight savings.
Oh, that's right. And Arizona, apparently.
Yeah.
But if you're part of the Navajo Nation in Arizona, you do.
Okay. Well. Okay.
They really make it complicated.
Mm-hmm. Now that's interesting. Okay, right. And I think I've got this wrong there because not because the system's doing the wrong thing, but because right, it's been set into UTC on the times on the server, and so what it should the start time there when you go to it, if you're set into UTC, is 7 p.m. So that's the right thing. So I mean, but the other thing is actually in order to check that it's I mean, there's we could be writing a test which, you know, stubs out JSTV.
Yeah, like right now on the Navajo reservation in Arizona, which is a large chunk of the northeast of the state. It's 6:50 a.m.
Okay.
But when you leave the Navajo Nation and go to the rest of Arizona, it's 5:50 a.m.
Right. Good to know. Well, we'll see if they, you know, I think when they make feature, if we have some users from that particular, you know, setup, when they, you know, we'll be very happy to accommodate their needs. But so you can imagine here now, like I could, assuming that we had JavaScript enabled, and we do, one could, like while on the edit page, switch to, you know, a different time zone and check that it updated.
Yeah.
I guess the question there is, do we feel that the JavaScript tests are sufficient to cover that already, or is it important to have an acceptance test over the top of them?
I guess that's up to you.
So at the moment with the
JavaScripts.
So we've got a fixture, right, and so what have we got? We've got 3 tests here.
One test that the time zone is set properly.
And which, so let's see.
Do you like my time zone names?
They're great. I think Aladdin usually has 1 L.
Yeah, probably.
So if we now, and the place I will find this JavaScript is in Assets, JavaScript, Time Zone Select.
I think it's 1 L and 2D.
Yeah.
You can make that change if you want.
Thanks.
It's a really important change.
Well, you know, correctness is everything. But so this sets the time. So effectively, what are we going in through here? with setting up a SPI, we're expecting it to be one thing, and then basically time zone select on ready. So we call this, and we end up calling select time zone. So we're basically checking that time zone select does these three things, which is one, that it selects the time zone correctly. Two, that it sets the local date time correctly, and three, that it sets the start date and the start time are both set correctly.
And you see there that I strategically chose Europe Kiev so that it would change the actual day to move it forward one day.
Right. And are these convert date, are these actually being used somewhere?
Yes.
Okay, here.
It's passed into the converter. So
there we select.
They could be collapsed now, potentially, if we really wanted to. Collapsed into one function.
Oh yeah, no. I'm more just trying to follow the logic, and I think more that we have this one function doing more like. But right, so we've got this. If we have a start time zone, or this is checking that we actually have a number of selectors.
Yeah, if it's not 0.
Then to convert date to local time, normalized date time. I mean, this, select time zone, we're passing in the converter. Okay. So this is our start. Select time zone. That's the converter. Okay, so we go through, we do all of this stuff that I remember. We do that one thing. We then
see line 11 actually converts it, I think, at this point.
Right.
We could rename these things too.
And yeah, I'm just trying to follow the existing logic. So here we grab what the current date and start time are, and then we pass them into the converter, which is convert date to local, date time to local, and then those are passed off into normalized date time,
which really we don't actually need anymore.
No.
I mean, we don't need, like, that functionality could probably be moved back inside if we wanted to, because it's only like 2 lines.
Yeah. But so moment is sort of doing some nice formatting for us. Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, so we're concatenating the date and time string and then telling moment it's formatted in this way.
Right.
And it automatically creates a moment, which is basically like a date time object.
Right. Oh, excuse me. Hello? 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 Sorry about that. Another junk call.
Oh.
Okay. Good grief. Anyway,
get call ID.
Yeah, I think the call ID is supposed to work on. We have this thing that's supposed to just block the people. Anyway, but so here then we've created this moment, and then we set the time zone on the moment based upon what we've done this. The same thing here. We've matched out of the list, and then here we call this again. That's now the time zone. So that comes back from here, and then we construct a date object that we pass.
Well, 9/11 converts it to the local time.
Right, sure, yeah. So that was in local time, and then subsequently, having got that, we
Just
we extract the
parse out the date, and
the
that
date and the time
format
elements
that
from it, and then that comes back out to here. Yes.
So potentially,
Yes.
normalized date time could just be collapsed into convert date time and not all anymore.
Yeah, there's a number of things. I mean, I guess
If we want to do that, we could do that. I mean, because it's just literally one more line being added at this point.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, before we do that, I'm just thinking here, so what this, the Jasmine test here is operating kind of at the acceptance level.
Kind of, yeah.
Because it's saying...
I tried not to stub it too hard.
Yeah, it's and it's sort of... Yeah, so
it's just whatever that library says is like... It's gonna... But we're not actually testing that library, which is kind of, I don't know.
The JSTV
library. There's like something similar in Moment that we could be using and just throw out JSTZ.
Oh, okay.
There's things that we could do.
Yeah.
Moment has something similar. I guess we could determine how bad it works once we actually put it in production. If people say, hey, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we've clearly got... I mean, we've not got anything like it out there, and yeah, it's difficult to perfectly predict the problems that it will encounter. And as we encounter those problems, we can add more tests. I guess the things that strike me as kind of slight warning elements are that we are like here, in the absence of any var statement, these are leaking into every JavaScript environment that we're using. And
sure, we can do that.
Even with the var statements, we aren't sort of encapsulating these in any namespace. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
That's, I mean, if we look at other...
I think we did something similar in the...
Yeah, I don't know if we've got other good examples in here, but so, for example, this sort of thing, you can kind of, I think there's been attempts at it. I'm not sure that I necessarily, it's sort of inconsistent across this, but it's sort of trying to describe...
See, there's the var scrum, yeah.
Right, and so it's trying to describe a high-level object, and so that you have like one high-level object in the global namespace,
sure.
And then you have, sub-instances there. I don't know if we've done any better in local support, or more consistently in local support, with our JavaScript namespacing. So
that was inside of an anonymous function, so
yeah, that's jQuery updates. Yeah, so I think all of these have been, well, those ones have been inside of anonymous functions. Does that then... I'm not sure how that then supports the JavaScript. So what is... We've got var Timo is set to be that. I'm not even sure how that... I guess, right. In this, the function's been added to jQuery, hasn't it? Yeah. So that's now...
So that's under the jQuery namespace.
Yeah, and in fact, all of these are additions to... These are like new jQuery functions.
Correct.
Yes, I don't know if that's the... Like, this is like creating its own name. That looks like, relatively clean. Oh, la, 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 la. But so I guess, I mean, here we have created this. I guess these things could be functions inside this, couldn't they?
Could they?
Oh, I think that's what we see. I mean, if we look at we've got these discrete functions. I mean, these are kind of monolithic, aren't they?
Well, I guess you could declare them as a var inside of.
Yeah, you can always declare
Inside of the function and pass them.
Right, and that's kind of the equivalent of making them private,
Make them local. Yeah.
methods. I mean, I guess that's this general higher level thing of, you know, if we expose public methods,
But do you want to do that?
then yeah, I guess I'd be tempted to at least wrap them up in there, and then we can justify that the thing that we've created is
Beautiful.
well, no, well, that's yeah, I was going to say that we are testing the public interfaces of our
Right.
system. So this has got. So we're this is basically providing us a way into the thing in order to test it. It's got like just an onReady function. And so this one here, we've pushed something into the jQuery space. And so again, yeah, in principle, both of these
could be dropped inside.
They could just be in here. Would that still work? Do they? I mean, there's a hoisting operation. So
I think they have to be.
Do they have to be first? Well, I think with vars they get hoisted to the top in JavaScript.
Yeah, they do. They actually do. You're right. They get hoisted with vars.
Yeah. And I guess the sensible thing to do there is
if you didn't have vars on them, then they would operate differently.
Yeah.
Then they would attach themselves to the global window.
Right. And so, but actually, that's okay now because it's referred to here.
I would delete that.
But yeah, so because realistically we don't. I mean that's more flexibility than we necessarily need at this time, right?
Yeah, and then
so then this one is used there.
Yeah. Yep.
Then there's something. Undefined is not a constructor. Maybe they do have to be above it, even with the hoisting. Perhaps that's because var local datetime has also been hoisted.
That's naughty.
That it seems like we can get rid of that. Okay.
Did you know Hawaiian pizza was not invented in Hawaii?
I did not know that. My world has been turned upside down. I can't see how that could possibly be true.
It was actually invented in Canada.
Right. The damn Canadians. Good God. I know it's usually Canada's fault, isn't it? Good God.
I like Hawaiian pizza because of the what it does to the cheese.
Oh yeah.
The pineapple acid or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of makes the cheese milky, almost like.
I definitely love pineapple on pizza. I feel pizza without pineapple is evil. I had never put it into such precise terms before. But now that you mention it, yes, that's I think why I also like pizza with pineapple. Although I don't restrict those. The ham, I'm not. I actually prefer a bit of beef on my mixed with my pineapple on my pizza. But there you go.
Well, I think they made it just to sell Canadian bacon, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, I've seen through that clearly with my beef strategy. Haha, Canada. Yes. So there's, I mean, the thing I'm thinking about here is like, yeah. So we've got this, you know, effectively this high level things, and now by removing these, I think we've avoided the need to do unit level testing on this.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe.
Yeah. Something. I mean, I guess I feel like there's like this
Times on select you don't like.
Well, there's a sort of like what does I think in any situation what we want to do is ask what does the function do? So the function at the top level this is a hook to call the select time zone and update those things.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it seems like we could just call the function directly rather than needing this like additional bit of namespacing, like on ready.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? Like, well, so if we're saying like ready page load, what we're saying is call this. This is like update user time zone and set dates and time, you know, and set the. Because the two things, aren't they? It's doing two things. I almost want to. I mean, this is what is it? We've got time zone select. The whole thing is there. Those two things. It seems like it's more than its time zone select. This is I mean, it's time zone select, and then as a result of having selected the time zone, you're
converting.
Yeah. So, what's a good word here? So what we're saying is on the page load, it's sort of what we want to do is it's like detect user time zone and update. What are they like?
Accordingly.
Is it update accordingly? What are we updating? It's like detect user time zone and update. I mean, basically, we're specifically like it's like update start date and time.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if that's the why has that gone red there? It's weird. Oh, is it actually telling me that? Yeah. So then, if we make that equal to the function, like so.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Like that. And I guess if we're to follow like what the surrounding things, do we need to follow this other stuff? I mean, at least this should now be renamed to this. Maybe, I don't know. Should it be detect user time zone?
So,
see, actually, I think this is. Sorry, go on.
I think what you described might be known as the Hawaiian burger.
Oh, really?
Maybe not.
And actually, is this is all like Ruby? Yeah.
Hawaiian pizza with beef.
Wait. What? Wait. And time. This is handle time zone.
Handle user time zone. That maybe makes sense.
I think.
And then on line 40, you have to change to your new name.
Yeah. I mean, almost. I mean, the interesting thing, like, okay, so these are. I mean, in terms of this being a JavaScript, a jQuery function, that's just allowing us to call that on this.
On the selector, yeah.
And it seems to me, though, that these two things are kind of actually, at the moment, they're completely independent. So one we've got is like more than, it's like the first one is like, we've got two things. We've got like set time zone, and then we've got a second activity, which is update start and date time to user time zone. I don't know. This is like set time zone drop down. What is this actually doing? This is like we're doing it on the thing that is the time zone drop down. So we're saying this is like select user time zone. Yeah, time zone, one word. And then it almost seems here like, should that be one thing that we've got? Select user time zone. I don't know if I'm just. It's always the thing with the refactoring is, am I just burning our time here, or is this really actually improving it anyway?
Select user time zone.
So this is because we're calling select user time zone is like we're calling that on this thing here, and I mean, I think this is the top level. We are handling the user time zone. So one of the things that we do is we select their user time zone, and then I mean, I wonder about this checking for the presence of it. Like anyway, but so then it doesn't
matter because you are launching this on ready. Otherwise, you'll get failures in the acceptance tests whenever you run JavaScript, because you'll get a nasty message in the console.
But will this one? It's only needed for the acceptance tests. This one will it like cause the acceptance test to wait and then do it correctly, or it ends up the acceptance test is just going to ignore? This is causing the acceptance test to just ignore this because it will be
on pages where it doesn't exist.
Okay, right, because
if you didn't have that guard clause, then it would just cause console failure.
Well, so partly because this is time zone select JS is being loaded into every page in the entire site.
And I've looked into, it's kind of a pain to load it. Just I don't know, just
on one page. Yeah, there's some other places where well, that's good. That's good for me to know. Yeah, and I guess in terms of this two-step thing, but so yeah, effectively, what like this operation here is actually completely separate from which corresponds to this code. This come on, RubyMine
through yeah.
Oh, I think my RubyMine is really RubyMine. Going back for the window. It's just oh, RubyMine. Is it gonna? Yeah, the spinning basketball of death. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. At least I can start it from the command line. Sort of. Yeah. Yeah, we had the same thing with I think there was an attempt to move the Scrum timeline JavaScript into a single, like to only be loaded in the appropriate place, and that seemed to lead to the whole thing failing catastrophically. But yes, that like these lines do that other bit, and so like this, there's like two separate operations here. So like this is one chunk of code that does one thing, and then this is another chunk of code that does another thing.
Yes.
And it almost feels like this could be a separate
function.
Yeah, that actually
definitely pull it out.
And in fact, so I mean, and
you could actually go hog wild and just check if the start date time exists and the start time exists.
Right. Each of those things, right. I mean, it's kind of very hard coded to the I mean, with these, I mean, this ends up failing in an aggressive fashion. I mean, with these, if it tries to set them and they're not there, I mean, I would have thought JavaScript would be kind of
what?
I would have thought JavaScript would be lax enough that if the thing just didn't exist, it would just kind of go, oh, okay, you know. Anyway, well, if that's where we are with. Huh. Is that what it does? Interesting. Do I need another? Will that be sufficient to check if it exists or not?
Dot length.
Really? But the start date's a field. You think we need dot length?
It'll return like an empty. It'll return like a selector object, which is basically empty, but it'll be truthy in the JavaScript language.
Okay.
That's why dot length will return 0, which is falsy.
Okay.
I don't know what the whether that's actually, do they use that term like in Ruby or not?
I don't know.
Falsy or whatever. I don't know.
So I don't know if this is. I mean, there's, in some ways we don't necessarily want to calculate the thing twice over, but like, in order to split that out, and then, so we've got that pulls that out there, and then we've got jQuery dot fn dot set local date. So, I mean, then the interesting, like, if we've got two operations like this, and we want to have for them to share functionality, I guess that. I mean, I guess now by sticking this out as these three separate things, I kind of paint myself into the corner of saying, right, well, so these things need to be tested separately with unit tests. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, what am I like? So this thing now, rather than needing to refer to start time in there, this is like the jQuery entity that we're referring to is this. Now, what is it that's looping through all the options? Oh, it's this. It's our element, like that. Huh. Like so. And to the operation, if we kind of pull out the elements, so the first operation is to get the normalized date, like so, and that we want to get out, this is the local date, and then yeah, if we just want, if we just stick the format from that,
The thing is, though, you need the date and the time together. You can't just have one or the other.
Well, yeah, we've got to here calculate it, but having got the normalized dates, right, we can then just pull the date out of it, and then that's the thing that we need to set to be, our element.
Right,
So,
but you have to reach out and, like, in the date function, for instance,
mm-hmm.
you have to reach out and get the time.
Okay. Okay.
There's almost an argument that there should just be one function.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I hear what you're saying now. Yeah. This because here, yeah, the incoming dates and yes, I mean I can see the other way to do it here is to pass in the value of the time there, but that just becomes kind of ridiculous, doesn't it?
It should be set local date and time, I guess.
Yeah.
And you should check that start date dot length plus start time dot length. It's falsy.
Yes, it's interesting. Interesting. We've got those two things there. Gah. This is clearly an entity unto itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
But so, yeah, if we can't call it on a single element, then that makes the argument for this being a
jQuery null
much less strong, doesn't it?
Yes.
Like so. So then,
and that could actually be inside that time zone select.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we then
what are you doing?
Well, I'm just I'm putting a warning that we're doing that as well. I mean, it's even.
I don't know why you're doing that, but.
Well, I'm doing that because this idea that that you shouldn't, like, if you are gonna, I mean, if we are gonna have a side effect of calling this, then we should highlight to people that that side effect is present. Yeah. So. Oh, that's weird. We seem to have come back to that. I thought I removed this.
I think you did, but maybe it didn't get saved because it crashed.
Oh, right. That's funny. We've got like some bits, but not other bits. But so.
It was like handle.
Yeah, it was like handle user time zone. Oh. Oh, never mind. Okay. So forget that. Here we go. Right. Select time zone and update date and time. So we've got that one operation there. We're then going to set the local date and time. And so now I mashed this up so ridiculously. But anyway, so the basic operation there is convert.
You need to save variable date and time too.
I need to save the variable date and time.
Look on line 20. You're referencing date plus time.
Oh yeah. I mean, this was me setting up this. I'll just get rid of that. That was like while I was doing it in a different approach. But yeah, I mean, I think although it's great to have these different things here, there's so the normalized. So the first operation here. Like another way to do this is to start with var date equals var time equals, and then so the first operation there is to get, so we've got this normalized date. So then this is our local date. And that this is it's in fact rather than normalized date, it's the normalized date time. And that's the local date time, normalized date time. And then we've got, so from this date time. So we've got those two format things that pull out the appropriate thing that's needed. So then what we want there is local date time. I guess I'll go with your breaking it into like that. And so then we could have this formatting operation. Normalized date time, that's for the date that goes here. And then that one there. And that would do it, right?
Yeah. Now if you get rid of everything else, I guess.
So and then, I mean, I guess in order to like this in principle, that can go, can it be declared there? And that just sort of hides it from the external spaces. I don't know. Anyway, so this ends up being the method that we call here is handle user time zone, handle user time zone, handle user time zone. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what do you think about all these comments from the, you know, we got this code from that gist.
They're beautiful.
Okay. Undefined is not constructor. Evaluated set local date and time. So maybe that does have to go at the top. And I guess the order that, can we just sort of declare it and call it all in one go? Okay. Can't find variable, handle user time zoney. Okay, that one we can fix.
So are you having fun now?
When you say having fun, you mean with the refactoring?
Making the changes and everything?
Yeah, well, and I've been going up for a while, and I guess I need to finish up. I mean, I'm kind of, I think, even if it's not been so much fun for you, I've got a concrete understanding of what's going on now. And
no, it's been fun.
Oh, good. No, I mean, as interesting, I think definitely we should Pong very, very soon. The only other change that I would just think of making here is changing the when it's called time zone select.js. We've got that called handle user time zone, which we've just pulled out to make that work.
I think we're ready to submit a pull request, right? Or update.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing was whether we tried a more sophisticated acceptance test, which I think I would let you drive if you wanted to do, and if you didn't want to do it, I wouldn't blame you. We could move on to something else.
Well, I mean, I feel like the way that we're doing the testing here is kind of.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's kind of we've got this level of sort of acceptance test thing here happening on the browser side that relies upon this fixture, and so then there's kind of like a higher level acceptance test, isn't there? That works against the
actual app,
the actual app, and using. I mean, I think the method that you were describing, which is the Capybara execute script, which would be like to reach in and bash this so that it returned a different time zone.
Yeah.
That's a thing. But I think if I had my fun, like refactoring this, and so I think I think we should definitely put that down as a chore for something to do in the future that we might well end up doing it when we discover that it breaks, let's say. Anyway, let's finish it. I'll finish this up and push it over to you, and check that it works. I'm just thinking about having called this now select time zone and update date and time. Does it matter that it's called time zone select.js there? We've got that called
potential.
I mean, the funny thing is JavaScript. See, I mean, I've like this file name convention. That's following the Ruby file name convention.
Yeah.
I think the JavaScript convention, is that these should be camel case, isn't it?
Really? Maybe.
I mean, it's not what the rest of the project has followed, but JavaScript file named camel case. I mean, the funny thing is with all of these different. Oh no, jQuery is with hyphens. Okay. There is no official universal convention for naming JavaScript files. Here are some options. Okay, so in that case, I mean, the funny thing is about all these different things that we taught in Makers Academy, or the stuff that we teach through the MOOC, or there are all these kind of approaches. It's always this question of like how religiously to stick to each one. So there's this idea, at least I'm pleased with here, that with this name of this function, we're describing the two things that we do in here. I think better than we were before. And so I'm tempted to populate that up to here. So if we I'll just go ahead and do it. I should just stop talking, shouldn't I? I'm definitely going to do the next thing with me only being able to say yes and no. So here, so this is. You guys want action. You don't want to hear me debating all the things with myself. Select time zone and update date and time. Is it going to do refactor? And then so this one, that should be, let's grab a copy of that. So that spec then here like so. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that, okay. So this is refactors first for time zone. So yeah, why don't you pull that out?
All right.
And have a little play. No, I continue to read this growing object-oriented code with tests with TDD, and it very much follows this, using the acceptance tests to get like a sort of a skeleton set up, and then using unit testing as a way of like subsequently pulling out and sort of designing the code, you know, iteratively, which is like makes a lot of sense to me. And I got into all sorts of arguments with people at Makers Academy about it. But for all of these things, does anybody have a monopoly on knowing what the right approach is? I don't know that they do. Do you want to share your screen?
Yeah. There's nothing exciting here.
Yeah.
Set it up. Jasmine passed. Now I'm running Qux.
Right. I mean, the screen, Kristen, I did that refactor. Will it have, I guess that does have application.js. Has it renamed? Oh, no, it's basically everything in that directory is pulled in automatically.
Everything, yeah, that's why everything's on every page.
Yeah.
There's probably some better way to do it.
Yeah. Oh. But so I guess the conceivable other scenario to add there to the edit events feature would be, edit an existing event from a different time zone.
I thought you added that.
Well, I added it. You edit an existing. I edit an existing event to be in a different time zone. I mean, it's this, which there it's not really making use of the JavaScript functionality at all. It's effectively ignoring it. But so the sort of the really high level acceptance test for the stuff that you've now got working is, assuming that you load a page and this automatic update of the time takes place, is it the time that we expect it to do? So we've got the Jasmine test is testing that. If we wanted to have this, higher level acceptance test, we would, I think, need another scenario with this step that you described where it kind of does Capybara execute script and so on.
What do you want me to do that now? I guess.
Well, I think if you've got patience and interest to do that now,
sure, let's do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's all good fun.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's every little thing is they're interesting mental challenges, aren't they?
Right. Let's see. So if I go into the
edit events feature in the events subdirectory.
background, so we're on this date and time. Okay. Scenario. And now we're going to
edit an existing event. Edit an existing event from within a different time zone. So you need a colon after your scenario, I think. And we've already got JavaScript and VCR at the top, so it doesn't need anything on line 49.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
So I think probably I assume before we visit the page. Well, when would we execute this script?
See, that's the problem, isn't it?
Right. We kind of almost like because our thing that's looking to JSTV is being executed on page load,
Right.
and so as soon as we go to the
Problem.
page, it will be loaded.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe does that mean that there is at the moment we're currently not, we haven't got a good approach for testing this.
That probably does mean that, yeah.
So
Because it's on load, huh?
well, maybe we should call that
Go on.
well, I was maybe we should call that. I was just going to call that a day. I was going to call this, look for a stub on loads in Capybara. How to stop? Yeah, I mean, why don't we? Yeah, let's leave it, and get the other people looking at the pull request and maybe move on to something else.
All right.
It's yeah. That does seem like a difficult thing to test. So if we look at the pull request, and then we could think about what we want to work on next. The thing that I'm still kind of conflicted about at some level, for all the students who've been through the MOOC and all the students who've done all the SPOCs and all the different things and doing the testing and all the students in the boot camp and everybody, and I just, I really do wonder about how much benefit is being gained from all the testing. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, from our testing, like, of the website.
Well, I guess it's things like in principle, testing is great. If you're using it right to drive the development of clean code. But I think when you're learning about testing, it's just so easy to end up writing tests that actually don't help. You know what I mean? Okay. Oh, we've got one bloody remaining issue from this. I think I know how to fix that. I'll just do that. We've got one thing blocking the build. So when I particularly for both website 1 and local support, to the extent that there was all this learning going on, I think the local support cover is in slightly better shape than website 1, but for the amount of effort, this is what I find myself conflicted about looking back. For the amount of effort that's gone into all the different layers of testing, has that really improved the quality of the software? Or not?
Maybe.
Indeed. And it would be nice to be able to say categorically, yes, it has. You know what I mean?
I think it has.
What makes you think that it has?
It's extremely easy to break things. And like, it's the alternative is like mass. I don't know what the alternative would be. Like a huge testing budget to have people sit there and like test things. Like just like Q&A people.
Yeah.
And like for instance, like John was saying, like I mean, obviously Namely's app is more sophisticated. like because it has like so many more people working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But he said like shit there, like they had basically no like acceptance tests.
Right.
And he said like things broke all the time, and they would only find out about it when the customer was like, "This doesn't work anymore."
Right. Right.
And he said like working on local support was like so great because like he could come to a project that was like so well tested.
Oh, okay. Mm.
Like where like if he
Mm-hmm.
like if his like if the test on local support passed, then there's probably a high chance that you haven't introduced regression issues.
Right. Right. I think on local support, maybe it is slightly. I think what I think coming to website 1, you
The
know,
tests are kind of like
the
not really doing a lot of testing. I don't know.
they're not doing as much. I mean, I think it's, you know, we've had a couple of. There's been several issues that have been encountered by the users that when we've gone back and there's been issues with the tests that are like not covering them.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. I think in the I mean, I just merged some tests from. I mean, Piotr has done some great work on local support, and I just merged. There was once a cucumber test, and it wasn't quite as rigorous as it could be, and yeah, it's this thing of like how far do you drive toward trying to make the tests rigorous? Like that's the thing that we're you know, just doing here. Like I think it's fantastic that you and Marion have got these JavaScript tests in there. And then that's the interesting thing that they're about, you know, is the combination of the JavaScript tests that we have there and the other bit.
If the fixture isn't reflect the app, then it could potentially break.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like I think this is probably you know, reasonable for the time being, and I think it's what's big for me now partly is just my being aware of those issues. I mean, part of the problem, you know, in some ways I'm kind of like, oh, you know, if Thomas had been more rigorous with, you know, and Brian with accepting pull requests, but then there's this pressure as the project manager, you know, volunteers are putting things in, you want to kind of get stuff merged in for the client, you know, not sure if you push back too hard on the people submitting the pull requests, you're not sure if they're going to actually bother to update them. I think not Raul, but Joao is experiencing the same thing on Met Plus, and if like the difficulty partly is inheriting that, because at least for Thomas and Brian or what have you, they, you know, you might have that sense of those areas of the code that are more or less reliable, whereas coming in like, okay, here's a big thing, and there's lots of tests, but you don't know which of the tests that are the ones that you know, are really holding anyway. I think particularly things like this where we end up, you know, you go test and then anyway, I'm just stop talking. Yeah, so I think I've pushed something that will hopefully just sort this out. Do you want to? What would you like to work on next?
Doesn't matter to me.
So
static site or
yeah, I'm sort of
blog, or do we have any more work on that or no?
Yeah, there's bits and pieces there, particularly regarding the footer. What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean the very pleasingly, Raul did a credit card transaction for us over the weekend, which is nice to see those bits working.
Oh,
there's
he's now a premium member.
He's now a premium member. He is, yeah. And there's a like there's some work to explore there. Oh, there's like a G+ sign up problem, which maybe I fixed. I think it will be more fun to work on the static website now.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I think I might go and get a cup of tea and then create a new hangout for the website too, and let you, and you know, you can. Do you want to? What was I going to do? I was going to go over here and look at issues. Yeah, I'm just remembering if I put all of the.
Oh, they passed.
They? Oh, cool.
So we can change that from in progress to
ready. Yes.
Ready.
Review this. Yeah, you're doing that. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So does that now move into this next? So if we've still got this thing, we have to do it on the pull request, and we. Why is that taking so long? Waffle. Oh, waffle. Stupid thing. Okay, and then it also. Have you seen this? That they've now got this update branch thing there. That's like really cool. You don't have to do it from command anymore.
Well.
And so we've got like a please check thing there. And I have to say, I find that it's really liberating that we don't have to worry so much about the commit messages because it's all going to get squashed anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, still want the commit messages to make sense, but that they don't have, you know, before I was like, oh, do I really want to make this extra commit because it'll be have to be rebased. So we've merged that in. We've done that there, and waffle. So now, yeah, this gets moved into here. Woohoo! Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna grab some tea and crumpets or something. I'll see you in about 5.
All right, bye.
Cheers.